We can make up the difference very easily with the deficit, with the sale of oil and gas, LNG, of which we have more than anybody in the world. The Prime Minister and I also reached an important agreement on energy that will restore the United States as a leading supplier of oil and gas to India. It will be hopefully their #1 supplier.
US President Donald Trump announcing that selling American oil and gas to India will bridge the trade deficit. With the trade deficit nearing $100 billion, the United States is eyeing energy exports to India as a solution. But American oil isn't cheap. US oil and gas are more expensive than supplies from Russia and OPEC. If India pivots to American energy, it could face higher import costs and rising fuel prices at home. Shifting to US imports could also dent India's trade surplus, impacting economic stability and consumer prices. Diversifying energy sources enhances security, but heavy reliance on US imports could expose India to geopolitical risks and price volatility.
The reductions to India's unfair, very strong tariffs that limit US access into the Indian market very strongly, and really it's a big problem, I must say. India imposes a 30 to 40 to 60 and even 70% tariff on so many of the goods, and in some cases far more than that. And as an example, a 70% tariff on US cars going into India, which makes it pretty much impossible to sell those cars. Today, the US trade deficit with India is almost $100 billion, and Prime Minister Modi and I have agreed that we'll begin negotiations to address the long-running disparities that should have been taken care of over the last 4 years, but they didn't do that, in the U.S.-India trading relationship, with the goal of signing an agreement. And we want, we want a certain level playing field, which we really think we're entitled to, and he does also, in fairness. So we're going to work on that very hard, and we can make up the difference very easily with the deficit, with the sale of oil and gas, LNG, of which we have more than anybody in the world. The Prime Minister and I also reached an important agreement on energy that will restore the United States as a leading supplier of oil and gas to India. It will be hopefully their #1 supplier, and the groundbreaking.
So, where does this leave India's long-standing energy partnerships? Russia, a strategic ally offering competitive rates and flexible payment terms. Will a shift to US energy strain this vital relationship? OPEC, with historically lower prices and long-term contracts, a pivot to American oil could cost India more and complicate diplomatic ties. India faces a geopolitical tightrope, balancing closer ties with Washington without alienating Moscow or the Middle East. Energy trade also strengthens US-India strategic ties, aligned interests in the Indo-Pacific, countering China's growing influence. But for India, the stakes are high, balancing economic pragmatism with strategic diplomacy without jeopardizing energy security or political neutrality. All this will need a fine balancing act.
Don't miss out. Log on to oneindia.com for more updates.